making sure that we are live and direct and everybody can hear me and of course can see me as well. And the main thing that I want to bring to you today, before we go into our guest hot seat, and of course we've got some people backstage in the Q&A, and want to check in with them and see what they're up to in their world of business, I really want to just spend maybe just about 15 minutes connecting with you on this specific subject. And what I want to talk to you about is literally how to hold strategy sessions with your prospects. Really, really important subject matter to master if you are a woman entrepreneur in business. Okay, and these are absolutely a great way of actually getting sales in your business, of course. And if you are thinking or hoping of selling any type of medium or high end or high ticket offer, this is the way to do it. So if you don't know me yet, my name is Netty Bryan, and I am the founder of Power Up Coaching, which is the #1 faith and money breakthrough business academy for female entrepreneurs, specifically faith-filled female entrepreneurs and coaches, course creators. And what we do in the academy is we train, we edify, we equip, and then we release you into your respective marketplace with all the skills, all the tools that you need to fire up your business. And one of the things I love to do is helping you to create your expert signature programs and turning your gifts into profitable business services and offers, high-end offers that your clients will love. So today I'm going to share 5 tips, literally 5 quick tips with you, and 5 things that you can do that's going to make sure that you connect with your ideal clients within your strategy calls. And here's the thing, you don't want to be without these 5 things, because when you do them well, it's actually going to guarantee that you provide value. It's going to guarantee that your prospective clients go away feeling like they have been listened to. And of course, it's going to make them eager to want to work with you even more. Let me just quickly recap for those of you who didn't catch, weeks 1 to 3. On week 1 of this series, we covered how to overcome the mindset blocks and barriers about selling. And we demystified, the myth about selling is hard, and, all of those different things there in week 1. So if you haven't listened to that video yet, pop on to YouTube or go into the Facebook group and do make sure that you tune in and have a little listen to that one. Week 2, we covered knowing what your client wants and matching your offer to their needs. So the important thing there is about knowing what your clients want and of course matching your offer to their needs. And in module 3, what we covered was being confident in yourself and of course being confident in your service or your specific offer. And today we're covering just a few short tips on how to hold your strategy sessions with your prospective clients. But for those of you who might be brand new, who don't quite know what I'm talking about right now, or may even call them by something completely different, I guess it's important to understand what exactly is a strategy session, and of course, what is the purpose. So a strategy session then is a genuine conversation. This is how I want you to look at it, because I'm all about selling with soul. So I'd love for you to look at a strategy session as being where you are developing a conversation with a prospective individual to determine whether your service is a genuine match to their needs. That is really all it is, okay? Now, the next question you might be having is, well, what's the purpose of this? The purpose is to actually get to know each other. It's actually about exchanging information in order to be able to see whether you are a best match. All right, so that's another way of putting it. But as I say, there are 5 fundamental things that you need to happen in this specific discussion, in this session with that prospective client. And I'm going to share my methodology in the way that I carry these out. And of course, for some of you who know, I've literally just finished doing a whole entire week, or 9 days it was, of workshop regarding the expert signature system. And actually after that have carried out subsequent discovery calls. And I'm going to share a few stats with you afterwards. So just so how you can see when you master this, how beneficial it can be, not only to you, but of course to the clients that you want to serve with your product or your service. So key number one, when it comes to carrying out and conducting a fabulous discovery call, is that you have to stand in the position that you are leading as a masterful coach or consultant. That is really key, okay? And the way you do that is to plan your sessions and don't leave that to chance, because the important reason by doing that is when you get on the call, you're going to be seen as an expert, you're going to be seen as professional, and of course, you're not going to leave the call open-ended to literally just go as it flows. In other words, you'll leave no room for your client, who might be a domineering character, to take over that call, and then it obviously diminishes your power within that specific process. If that makes sense to you, I want you to put a emoji in the comments to let me know. So it's really important that you stand in your power as a masterful coach or consultant leading the call, okay? And the key thing here is to actually have a well planned out and ready to present information to your prospective clients with all the things that they need to know. The second thing here is that you've got to make sure that you are building rapport. We all hate sleazy salespersons, and this is one reason why I actually developed this coaching program around selling with soul, is because a lot of women tend to shy away from going beyond that selling because it doesn't sit very well with them. It doesn't feel very soulful. So what I've done is I've created this concept where we actually start to sell in a way that doesn't actually feel salesy, doesn't feel like selling, feels like a natural rapport. And the way that you do that is just to be yourself, build up a, conversation, ask them maybe how was their day, how was their weekend, what one thing makes them happy, or one thing that they might want to say is a celebration for themselves this week. Okay, it might be getting on that call with you. Okay, the third thing you want to do is lead the call by setting an agenda. There are 3 questions or 3 areas that I cover when I'm carrying out my breakthrough calls. And the first thing that I say to any prospective client when they get on the phone to me is that I'm going to lead this call as if we're in a coaching relationship already, as if I'm already their coach. And I get their agreement to that because they love it. They love the fact that you're actually going in that way. So I'm not giving away free coaching here, but what I'm doing is I'm being masterful in my own wisdom and in my own knowledge, knowing that I potentially can be the right solution, or my product can be the right solution for that prospective client. Okay, so number 4 in how after leading the call is you want to make sure that you give them the floor. And at this specific point, you're giving them the stage to tell you all about what is going on for them and actually why they chose to connect with you or to book that call with you. So you're listening at this point, you're listening, you're hearing, and you're almost, in my previous role as a social worker, when I used to go out and visit clients, I used to be listening to see how I could actually solve their problem. So I used to listen in a way that's prescriptive, in a way that's diagnostic, in order to be able to give them the potential prescription to their problem or the antidote to their issue afterwards. And that's the frame of mind that you need to adopt when you are actually on these calls, okay? And the way that you do that is you do that by active listening. And this is where, if you're good at active listening, this is your moment to shine, okay? Because you're going to collect all the information that that prospective client is sharing with you. You're going to make your notes. And then, of course, you are going to format a solution from your offerings, your pre-prepared offerings, what you offer in from your signature system to that specific individual. So your role then is to diagnose their pain and then come up with the solution, being your expert signature system, to take them to that place of where they desire to be. All right. So within that process, you're going to be asking them some strategic questions. And this is number 5. You're going to anticipate that they have questions. Okay. And you're already going to be making sure that you have the answers and the solution. Number 6 is you're going to want to make sure that you are giving value. Everything we do is we lead with value first. We serve first, and then we naturally progress into that field of selling. So if you've done all of those things correctly, then trust me, the sale part of it is going to be extremely easy for you and graceful, because I love to work with grace and ease. It's going to be easy and graceful for you to carry out. So here's the thing, how you give value. You must be wondering, well, what do I do to give value? You are going to give that potential client at least one takeaway tip that they can apply to their business immediately. You're not giving away everything, but you're giving away 1 to maybe 3 tips that they can apply in their business. And of course, because you've been so generous with that, they automatically are going to want to maybe seek to come back for a bit more information. Let's just assume you've gone through the entire discovery call, you've discovered their problem, you've shared your offer, you've shared your solution, and it comes time now for them to make their decision and you to make your decision as to whether you are a great and a right fit. Number 7 is, please don't forget to actually close and ask for the payment. So many people I speak to who come to me, say to me, Netty, do you know what? I got on the phone, the call ran away with me, and guess what? I forgot to ask for payment. Okay, you must make sure that you do this, even if it means you just setting down the terms, the conditions, and of course collecting that deposit. And I know it's not easy, of course, asking for money and pricing and all those kinds of things. So if you are struggling with that and you need support, please do reach out to me, and I'll be happy to support you, to help you to become more comfortable, to become more masterful, and to charge your worth, number 1, but also to make sure that you can overcome that fear of asking for the money. And let's just consider the fact that you decide that the program isn't necessarily right, or the timing's wrong, or they don't feel that you're a good fit. Then here's the key thing to focus on. Don't worry if they say no. What you need to be making sure is that you are taking all of that feedback and you are looking for ways where you can improve your discovery calls. Okay, that's what you do with feedback. Okay, you use it to see where you can improve. And the only time you're actually going to be moving forward in an ethical way, because we deal with ethical ways here, is if you know that you are a best match. They're happy, you're happy, you've come to an agreement on your price and the length and type and style of coaching that you're going to be offering them, and you can both move forward with confidence. Now, that's what I call selling with soul. And as I said, a lot of people do come to me for how I conduct my sales calls. And of course, within my Dream Business Launchpad, the first pillar is about how to sign on new clients. And I believe it's both an art and it's a science. And the scientific part of it is simply this equation. If you do not make any calls, you are not going to get any sales. If you do not make any connections, you're not going to get any cash. If you do not give impact, okay, with value, you're not going to get any income. And it's as simple as that. And the art part of it is really investing in yourself to become masterful at your discovery calls, and of course masterful at closing. If I give you one skill that I would suggest you learn within your business, it is that, to become masterful at your selling. But let me just share a very quick story before we move into the second part, and I hope that you're enjoying these nuggets here, and I want you to give me your feedback in the comments. If you think this is good, I want you to type great tip, Netty. Okay, but I just want to share a brief scenario with you. I've just come out of my expert signature system and high-end offers workshop. And what I did this time was I created a separate Facebook group because I really wanted to try something a little bit different. So I set this group up about maybe 4 weeks or so prior to the actual workshop starting. And what I did was I didn't let people in until 3 days before. So at that point, I'd only had about 21 people on the outside, waiting to be let into the group. And so I let them in the group on the Saturday. We started the workshop on the Monday. And by the Monday, we had about 70 odd people in the group. So I carried out the sessions, gave loads and loads of value, because it was a challenge as well, workshop / challenge, where they were creating their expert signature systems and of course their high-end offers. And I kid you not, most people out there say, you can't sell to people unless you've got a ratio of about 300 people within your group, because, the conversion rate is going to be really, really poor. Well, I decided to do something completely different. What I did was I screened everybody previously, made sure that what I was offering was something that they were interested in. And that's the key point. You've got to make sure that whatever you're doing, that your potential clients are going to be interested in it. Okay, so they've raised their hands to say that they want more information. So I nurtured them over those 4 weeks, let them into the group. We had a fantastic workshop, and I just want to share with you some of the results, which even I was taken aback by. So I know that this strategy absolutely works. So if you don't mind, I just want to share my screen with you just for a moment, just so that you can see, some of these statistics. So as I say, we had 71 people within the group. Then average attendance for each day on the workshop was between sort of 25, about 25 people. Then after the workshop, I connected with 6 people who shared interests. On the 4th day, I pivoted into opening up my program, my group program, and we had 6 people who showed interest and 6 people who actually signed up. So what that looks like, I'll give you the breakdown, because what my offer was, it was a group program. So here's the breakdown. They didn't all go into the group program, which was fine. And this is the point of getting on the telephone and consulting and talking to your potential clients. So I carried out discovery calls exactly in the format that I've just shared with you. And during those calls, I discovered that maybe the group program I was signing people into wasn't necessarily right for some individual people. So we've got to get masterful at actually meeting them at the point of their needs, because one of the areas within my business, or the core strap line, if you like, is that I'm flexible, I'll coach you, and I'll care for you. So it transpired that groups weren't right for 2 of the people. So they ended up having one-to-one sessions with me, booking into a one-to-one session. 2 people were right for the groups, which was fine, which will be starting in about a week's time. And 1 decided that they weren't ready for a groups, and they, we downselled into a VIP day. So here's the thing with these figures here, is that you might think that that's a small amount of people. However, remember, it's all about where you position yourself in the market. So I position myself as a high-end coach. So in fact, let's just look at the stats here. I don't know if you can see them. You can see here that all 6 people signed up. And during that week, I'm not joking you, I generated 16,500 UK pounds in sales. And this wasn't offering a low ticket product per se, but it was offering a product that was priced right. It was at the sweet spot, both for me and for the clients. So what I'm trying to say here is you don't need to have hundreds of people, in a group or maybe lined up to talk to you in order to create sales. Okay, so that was the purpose of me actually sharing that with you. What the most important thing is, let me just stop this now. What the most important thing is to remember it's all about nurturing. It's all about nurturing. And there is a strategy, of course, to this process. So here's the thing that I want you to go away and do, because I love to get you into action. I want you, if you are in business right now and you're like, Netty, I want my business to grow. I want to have a 10K week, a 15K week, not a 10K month, guys, a 15K week, just like you, is you've got to get in connection. You've got to get into communication. And if that's something that you fear, then you're going to want to pop your a DM in the comments and put sell with soul, and I'll reach out to you and let's get you moving. Let's get your business where it needs to be. Okay, but the task is this. I would love for you to be able to set up a strategy session with any interested prospective clients in your business. Here's how you'll do that. You're going to identify interested parties, set up a call to discuss their needs, and of course to discuss their offer. All right, so if you found value in those 5 tips that I've given you today, trust me, they are powerhouse. They will help you to break through that barrier of, you know, not having any sales to having sales. Then I want you to just let me know in the comments. And we are now going to jump into the second part of our Tuition Tuesday. So that's all from me on Sell with Soul this week. And we've got 1 week left of this, and I'll be back next week. All right, so let's see who we have in the chat. We have Randy, Sarah, and Clarence in the chat tonight. Isn't it amazing? Oh my goodness, we're here in the UK and we have beautiful weather right about now. We have beautiful weather right about now. Randy, how are you, my darling?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful. Our weather here keeps going in and out.
Okay.
One day 80 degrees, the next 2 days say 50 something. We're like, what is going on?
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Randy, before we jump into our special guest, Sarah, tonight, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about, you know, who you are and what do you do, my lovely.
Okay. Many blessings to you all. My name is Randy Shirai. I am a financial coach.
Yay.
What I want to say, how I want to put it. I specialize more so in budgeting,
Mm-hmm.
credit repair, and taxes. I
Fabulous.
just released my second ebook. I just did it. You know that point of just saying, "Oh well, I don't know who's going." Just do it, and I just
Uh-huh.
did it, and I feel good now. Now I feel like I can just take on the world. I've been doing it for some years online here, but I've been doing it for free.
Okay.
So I haven't been monetizing anything. So now I'm pushing everything. I got an LLC, and I'm pushing it to actually get
Beautiful.
paid. So I'm after understanding how to make a $10,000 a month. It does not sound hard. It's not hard to do. It's just showing up. So
Uh-huh.
I am looking for a coach to push me so I can make that happen.
Oh, beautiful. We need to talk. We definitely need to talk, right?
Yes. And I mean, when I say push, I mean push.
Good. So I love it. So you are the type of woman that wants to go hard, right?
Yes, I do. I do.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Randy, you know, you're in the right place. It's God's divine timing as to why you tuned in tonight.
Yes.
I truly believe that. And it's great to learn about what it is that you do. And of course, you know, if you do want to jump on a call, just, you know, let me know in the chat and we can certainly get that arranged for you. You're in America. And of course, you know, LLCs out there, you've just set yourself up. How long have you been registered as a company for now?
I registered my credit restoration business in July. Actually, oh,
Okay.
July be a year, be a year.
1 year. Yes.
Hmm.
Excellent, excellent. And your client base, is your clients coming in fluently or are you still struggling to pick that up right now?
I'm still struggling on that.
Okay, okay. Randy, I'm very happy to support you and to help you. Would you like to book in on a one-to-one with me just so we can get some clarity?
That is well. And I'm looking, I know you over in the UK. What time is it there now?
At the moment, it's 8:30 over here in the UK, but that's
Okay.
absolutely fine. What I'll do is I'll drop my diary link in here for you, and then you can get yourself booked in whenever a time suits you within that, okay?
Okay. You're only 5 hours. It's 3:30 here. So okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, my lovely. Do you have any specific questions you want to ask before we move on into the hot seat with Sarah?
Well, like you said, it's divinely set up because when I saw the email, I've actually been working on in my Google Docs on
Right.
how I'm going to run a consultation. You know,
Okay.
and then when I saw your email, I was like, really? A consultation? Oh, right. So, like I said, it's all coming together. It is all
Beautiful.
coming together. Like you said, my thing was just I put adopt things in place when I
Mhm.
did it. Was just like you said, they ask questions. I can have something to point them to.
Of course, 100% understand that. Okay, really looking forward to getting you into action because I love it when people want to take action. It is amazing. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. So pop yourself in my diary. May as well do it right now. Then we'll get you scheduled and see if we can get you moving, signing on your new clients. Okay.
Oh, got it. I see it. Got it. Thank.
Awesome. You are welcome. You are welcome. Okay, so I am going to invite my guest hot seat person up on the stage, as they say. And tonight we have the beautiful Sarah McGIrr, who is a very close friend of mine and a very awesome woman of faith as well. And she is going to share with us tonight all things around. Oh, I'm not even going to say. We're going to let her tell us what it's all about. But she's going to share with us tonight something really special, which I believe, we all need. And it's in the realm of healing. So welcome, Sarah. Do you want to just pop on and say hi to everybody?
Just start my video now. There we are. I'm here.
Beautiful. Hello. Hello, Sarah.
Lovely.
Lovely to have you. Lovely to have you. And thank you so much for agreeing to be my hot seat guest tonight.
I can't say no. Can't say no to Netty.
Can't say no to Coach Netty, right? Okay, my lovely. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you come from, and, what your business is to start us off.
Right, okay. So I coach female entrepreneurs to break free from undercharging. As you know, that's a biggie with us coaches and working with women. It's just a story you hear everywhere. It's all levels across new coaches and new business people, and it goes right up to whichever levels people are at, because especially as women, we've got tendencies to undercharge. We doubt ourselves and all sorts of things. I think it's societal as well. Women, we often have a tendency, it is a generalisation, but it's a true generalisation. We tend to put ourselves last, especially if we've got a family to be running and a household to be running. We very often, women don't see themselves as business owners. They regard their work as projects, like side hustles, but they're actually businesses. They're kosher businesses. So I work with female entrepreneurs on the emotional intelligence side, so actually working with their mindset, working with their beliefs, and unpacking that, because everybody's got a story, and then the environment we've grown up in, there's all sorts of programming, conditioning that goes on between the age of 0 to 7, and then so much has actually gone into our subconscious mind then, and we see things, we take them on board as truths a lot of the time when it comes to behaviour and conditioning and programming things. And then we wonder why, when we're adults, we have issues with money and all sorts of things. So, so for me, I'm on a mission really, because it comes from my own experience as well. How I grew up, it was a 2-parent family, but my dad was the breadwinner and my mum, this is back in the days when used to get cash as wages. My dad would come out
little brown envelopes.
Brown envelope. Thursday evening, put it on the kitchen table, and he would, it's a very agreeable arrangement. It worked out well for them at the time. It's just a different generation, but he would come home, he would put his brown envelope on the kitchen table and give it to my mum, and then she'd take out it's like pocket money, I suppose, really. She'd take money back out of it, and that would be his money for tobacco, because he used to smoke rolled up cigarettes, and mints and petrol money to go to, and money for a drink at the weekend. He used to go out with his brother for a couple of drinks. That was it. So there was no living on the edge. But what it does, these things run deep. It goes from generation to generation. My parents, they were post-war generation as well. So it's, as I grew up, I wasn't just taking on their beliefs around money and making my own 2 and 2 at 25 sometimes. It wasn't just my own beliefs I was taking on as truths. I was taking on what I saw in my environment.
Yes, and that's so true, isn't it? That you do take on that learned behavior, and it's learned behavior. And it's funny, I've got a funny example, if I may just kind of step in for a minute, whereby I was listening to a video on YouTube, and the guy was actually describing how things pass down from generations, okay? And then he was talking to the audience, and he basically said, this is how my wife cooks the lamb in the oven. So what she does is she always slices off the end, right? So then one day he stood and he was like, well, darling, why do you do that? Why are you doing that? He goes, oh, because mum does that. Okay. And then he went to the grandmother, asked the mother, can you let us know why you do that? And she said, well, my mum done that. And then it was like, well, my mum done that. And then here's the truth of that particular fact. It was because the ovens back then were so tiny that the lamb wouldn't fit in the oven.
Yes.
So they chopped the end off. So there was no real thing about it. So, you know, sometimes we can take on, like you're saying, things that aren't even relevant, things that are just stopping us from actually feasting fully, when in fact we're famining, aren't we, because of an ideology, a mindset, and so forth. So I just thought I'd share that because it just seemed like really relevant.
But it's so true though, isn't it? Because, and also obviously every generation's got different experience in terms of like, their environments and things, and you know, children now, the younger generation, they're living in a very fast-paced environment as well. Technology changes, but you know, it's so surprising that you know, well, it's not surprising in a way really, when we take on all of these what we're learning and conditioning programming, we take it on as, and we live as if there are truths. Some are, some aren't. And then we wonder why as adults, especially as female business owners, we come across these challenges, and especially like asking, you know, asking to be paid.
Yeah.
You know, like, and even in the workplace, there's so much still where
and we see it a lot, you know, we see it a lot, especially as women of faith as well. You know, I've done you know, hundreds of calls, and you know, most of the time people do struggle to ask themselves, because we come from a place of service. We tend to give because it's better to give than to receive. It's what we're taught, right? It's what the Bible says, it's what the word says, and we come from that premise. So when we take our Christian selves, or you know, our faith selves, into the entrepreneurial world, we sometimes still carry that with us, and then it hinders us because of that belief system to actually think that you know, people think, oh God, I'm not allowed to ask for money or chase money or things like that. But it's not that, because when you really truly understand, you know, that the word says that money answers all things, and actually, as I teach, our gifts will make room for us and place us before great men. And actually what we need to be doing is worshiping and honoring the giver of that gift, right? You know, and that should then release us, but it takes that time, doesn't it? And this is what I love about the work that you do, Sarah. And in particular, you talk about behavioral science, about how people can increase their profitability that way, but also you tap into something that I really, really do admire, which is around ancestral healing. Okay.
Ooh, yes.
So can you share with us, please, a little bit about what that is? Because I know, of course, but can you just tell our viewers today, what exactly is that?
Oh, I could talk about this all day. I love it because it's especially in the realms of the coaching world and coaching women, and helping them empower themselves. There's so much that we actually don't realise that we're holding on to in terms of what's blocking us. And you know, well, if you've got a blind spot, you don't know it's a blind spot because you can't see yourself. So you need someone else to be able to facilitate changes with you and work with you. So with my ancestral clearing, really it's clearance work. And what I do is, and it's spiritually based as well.
Good.
So we're working with our creator on this as well. So it's prayer based. So, and it's universal because prayer is universal. So that's a big part of it as well. And I work with my clients there to actually, because what happens, you know, like sometimes you'll find yourself in situations where consciously you're trying to work things out and you just can't get past a certain thing. It pops up in your life in different
we would call it a stumbling block.
Same thing, it's got a different face to it. Now with my work, with the ancestral clearing work, I work in, it goes beyond conscious mind, because stuff gets stuck in our body. It can be trauma based, it can be all sorts of things, and we don't really need to know why. It just gets stuck, you know, like they refer to it as somatic.
Yes, that's right, somatic.
Stuck in our body on a physical level, and that's why the conscious mind can't work it out. Subconscious mind has put it in a safe place somewhere, and so it's found out that, you know, like sometimes when it can be a situation where, you know, like if you're not in, your finances aren't in the best of health, and you think, I'll check my bank statements, and you go, oh, you feel it. You almost like, it's like you physically feel something in your chest. You can feel your chest tightening. There's something there that's there for a reason. It's trying to tell you. So I work with my clients and a lot of this work with the ancestral stuff, it's so much is cleared in one session. So that's where I work with my clients.
That's beautiful. Can you yeah, and I love that. And in our sort of faith, you know, as me being a former pastor, you know, we would have a lot of people, you know, coming to the altar with issues that they don't even know where it actually stems from, or that root cause of those problems. And we'll be praying for people at the altar, and it's almost like really difficult sometimes. And you know, in my practice prior to actually becoming a business coach, you know, I used to do a lot of what we call restorative practices. And with this comes the divine healing, because I'm an advocate for divine healing. And I truly believe that you have to have, you know, what you're talking about, the natural plus the spiritual plus the practical, in order to help people to actually move from where they are right now, stuck in that zone of unknown unconsciousness, to bringing them forward into their conscious awareness. So Sarah, tell us then, you know, what types of problems, you know, can your work, you know, can you help women with? What's the typical type of issue that you address?
What I come up with time and time again, or what I find clients coming to me, or women generally just in conversation talking to me about, is so much of it's self-worth. They come to me, they're undercharging because they're looking at their competitors, and it's all the outside, that they're busy looking on the outside. But really, we know that coaching is about the practical stuff and the inner work. So they come to me, you know, like they can't, there's some sort of block they can't put a finger on, they can't actually like articulate what it is. And then when we actually look at it, so much of the time it comes down to they don't feel good enough. Because they're comparing themselves to other people, or they're worried about, especially in the family unit or in their community. I can't ask for more money because who am I to ask for more money? You know, people got to start thinking big shot. I can't ask for more money. Okay, what I'll start doing is, you know, they start discounting their services before they've even set their fees. They won't ask, you know. There's
That's
so much
regular.
I don't want to ask straight, because I found it myself in my own work. But when I was doing my own coaching, and we coached together on some of this as well. But
yes,
I remember it came up when and it was a revelation. It was absolutely a revelation to me that I was, you know, as a business owner and as a businesswoman, that I was actually afraid. I found myself, I was afraid to ask for the fee initially.
Yes.
And then I realised I did some inner work on that, and I realised it was because how in part of my upbringing was, I remember my dear late mum saying, it's rude to talk about money.
Right.
Now, she said that because we came from a working class background, and we find it in middle class backgrounds as well, that I don't even know where it came from. What is that? But it was, and even now when I think about it, I think, oh, well,
a false belief, right?
Yeah, what you're told, like,
huge false belief.
And then as a business owner, you wonder why. Like, you think, I'll just say the fee or I'll discount it because I sort of know her through this person, and she's a referral, and blah blah blah. And then you wonder why, and then it's completely obvious. You know, if you've got like a female around you that you know that you, but you know, a caretaker that you taking care of you, you know, a parent or whoever's around you, that female figure, and they've been at home, they've been like a homemaker, and then all of that goes in subconsciously, and you think, well, I can't, you know, it's rude, it's rude to ask for money. I can't ask those kind of prices. Who am I? You know, I can't make.
It's really shocking, isn't
so
it? Really
much.
shocking that the amount of people. Yeah, you're rolling a story here right now that we often hear so much in our work, right, Sarah?
Yes.
And it comes, and one thing you said was that it's all types of classes and stages of women who struggle. It doesn't necessarily mean that because you know you're brand new or you don't have a lot of money coming in right now. I've seen it you know, because I work with, you know, some of the top coaches as you do, where it is women at all levels. You could be a millionaire and still struggle with undercharging.
Yeah, I've
or
heard
knowing how to set your pricing. I've heard some stories in
there's
my
some
time.
shockers out there, and you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, and it's not just like in a like working class, middle class environment.
No.
Like you say, there's 8-figure coaches out
Correct.
there, multiple 8-figure coaches out there who have had the same issue and who've actually used the same techniques that we've used to break through
Yes.
those money beliefs themselves. So, and it's not like there's particular techniques that you use for different levels or different in different communities. These techniques are the same techniques, so they're universal techniques.
Absolutely.
But it's just and you know, and then like you said, these stories. How many stories are there?
So tell us, Sarah, tell us. Yeah, it's a huge, it's an epidemic, really. And really, you know, one of my missions also is, you know, I've got a program. It's called Money and Me program. Okay, and my mission is really to help women through the Miracle Money Breakthrough Revolution to actually wipe out all of those historic beliefs in a very slightly different way to yourself. But you know what I love about your work is that it's so deeply personal and it's so deeply transformational to your clients, you know. So can you share with us some of the client results that you've had from people working with you with the ancestral healing in this area of money and themselves?
There was one lady, as a client I worked with a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago now, and I thought, when I was working, I thought, uh-oh, this is a tough nut to crack, because it was almost, you could see these beliefs had been serving her so well, you know, middle-aged like some of us are. So she'd been running these beliefs for so long, and it was consciously, she could not break through it, and she didn't know what to do. And when she came to me, I said, why don't you give the ancestral clearing a go? Because you just don't know. You just don't know what it will clear, because it's not specific. It just clears whatever needs to be cleared. And also, it's like a domino effect, because you don't know what other beliefs, you get beliefs in clusters, don't you?
Yes.
You don't know what else goes with it as well. So I was working with her, and I thought, wow, I could feel it. She'd been holding on to this belief for a long time, and she wasn't sure if it was going to work. Because I just thought, because she didn't have enough faith in her.
That's right.
So, you know,
absolutely. That's where I was going with that faith.
Right. You know, like we always do in our coaching sessions with clients, I was holding a safe space for her, and I was saying to her, if you can't believe in yourself, borrow my belief.
Yes.
And so I said, you're in a perfectly safe space. And then she started, her conscious mind was going, she had this story, this one, that one, that one. I said, put all that aside. We're working with the divine.
Yes.
So we're actually working with a clear connection. So she had such a shift. I was amazed. When she came back to me after the session, she said, Sarah, I just had this revelation where I could actually join the dots back to when I was a kid for my behaviour. And I've never been able to see that so clearly. And now I've seen that, she was saying it just cleared the way. It was like it cleared the decks for her.
Awesome. Now that's what I would call like a Holy Spirit moment, you know, where it just drops in that session there, and the divine meets the natural, and you know, you're the vehicle or the channel, if you like, really, to help her to see, because you're being a guide, aren't you, at that specific moment for her. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And is she doing well? Has she kept up with the change in the mindset now? Have you done any further?
She was sharing her YouTube channel with me the other day, and she was saying, I'm going to start these new programs, because you know what she told me? It's a really interesting thing she told me.
Great testimony.
Before the session, I was saying to her, what has not having enough money stopped you from doing in your life so far? And she was saying the most recent thing is that she believed that not having enough money was stopping her from moving to where she wanted to move to. She was in the States, and she wanted to change states. And she was saying that belief kept her living in a place that she didn't want to.
Yes.
And I mean, you live in there. So it's day to day. And you know, what are you reinforcing by living somewhere that you don't want to live?
Yeah, and you find that, you know, as a woman, though, we kind of tend to put our feet and embed ourselves in situations far too long. And we've got a comment here saying,
yes.
Clarence is saying, well done, Sarah. Keep up the great work. Keep up the good work. Thank you for that
Oh,
comment
thank you.
there. And I just want to touch on that for a moment, Sarah, because, you know, even from my very own story, I know I stayed in an abusive relationship for 18 long years, and God knows why, but it is the unseen factor of you feeling like you cannot leave. So, you know, it's almost like there's a force around you. And this is one thing I wrote in my book. When I wrote my story, you know, in a book, I actually said, even though there were no chains or locks on the front door, I felt like I couldn't leave, because it was a spiritual force that this person had over me, a spiritual hold, as well as a physical one, of course. But it was here. The prison was in my mind, right? And if you match that to what you're talking about, and how women struggle with the false beliefs about themselves, what they're worth, and money. You and I both work in this area, so we know what we're talking about here. And these are the things that can rob us for years and years and years.
And do you notice as well how these are stories that so often as women we've told ourselves, but no one even ever told us these stories.
That's right.
We
That's
actually just put two and two together at some point in our lives, and we've kept ourselves in those positions. But the flip side of that is that we don't need to give ourselves a hard time.
That's right. That's right.
Because that's crucial as well. Because especially as women, as mums, as spouses, you know, as whatever else we play in the community, we put ourselves last so often that when we actually, it's like the old expression about, you know, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yes.
If we are not strong for ourselves, then who else can we be strong for? And also then you've got the other side, you've got what behaviour are we modelling for the next generation coming through, for the next generation of male, you know, female.
And that's it. And it's kind of brought me onto the subject of, where does the cycle stop? Where do we actually say, right, that's it now, I'm going to pull the reins on this horse, you know, this Trojan, you know, in Christianity, we have certain different words for strongholds. We call them strongholds, right? So where are we going to pull the reins on this stronghold and really start to dig it up at the root, so it doesn't start affecting the generations after us? And I believe, you know, I believe we're in a time now where it's not going to be easier. It's going to be harder, because, you know, when we were younger, we had much more consciousness, a God consciousness and God awareness, whereas there's so much distraction these days now that children, they're not really interested. You know, their God is the telly, their God is the Xbox, their God is, you know, that console that they're playing, or their mobile phone, you know. So for them to actually start thinking, you know, about the way we believe and what we think, they're going to say, oh, you're talking rubbish, you know, this isn't what it's about. They don't really connect with that. So it is a bit more of a concern, isn't it, that the traditions, if you like, really the positive traditions, that we aren't going to be able to actually get the message down to the next generation as we would have liked to have hoped to.
And also with that as well, I think then it's while we have stewardship of our own finances and everything else goes with it, then it's up to us to even rise up even more.
Yes.
You know, like to actually double up, you know, like double up on what we're doing. And because we, you know, actions speak louder than words, you know. So what we're leaving, the legacies we're leaving for next generation, we're already modelling for them, you know. But actually, it's not all bad news, because so much, you see it yourself in the coaching, so much of this work can be, there's so many breakthroughs, there's so many aha moments, and we can unpack a lot of this. You know,
100%.
keeping ourselves clean.
Absolutely, we've got to keep the vessel clean, haven't we, in order that we can be utilised and used, if you like, really. You know, we have the scripture in the word, it says that we have to be holy and acceptable, and that we can become good vessels and good use to our Father. And I think that's really important, especially if we want to be that channel to support and help those people who are stuck, who don't see what we see, who don't have that direct connection, but they know they're struggling with a huge problem and they just don't know the root cause of it. So we need people like us. We need, you know, the guides, we need you, we need the coaching, sages. We need people, the sages, of course, to dig deep and to uproot and to actually plant fresh soil, you know, good seeds in that fresh soil.
Because it's never too late, because the subconscious mind will try and keep us safe, and the conscious mind will think, I've tried that before, I worked with this coach, I did this before, I spent thousands of pounds on this training, nothing came from it. or or you ask someone else's opinion and think they're not living, your life anyway. What they know. There's so many ways we can try to stop ourselves, but it's never too late. It's just never too late to change.
Yes. I'm just going to move to the chat box now. Are there any questions or comments from the people on the backstage who are live with us tonight? Denise, you just jumped on. Welcome, welcome. Would you like to add anything to the conversation tonight, my lovely?
Thank you. No, I just came part way, so I don't want to be rude to ask you to repeat what was said prior, but I'm accepting and hearing what's being said. So yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. It's lovely to have you, my darling.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So you might want to go back and listen to the first half. We were talking about the week 4 of Selling with Soul, but we're now talking about, Sarah and what she does in ancestral healing and all of those different things, and how she's taking that work powerfully to women entrepreneurs who have a backstory, but they don't quite know what that backstory is about. So it's also about making sure that, she's able to use her skills, her gifts and talents, and actually help them to move forward in their life and in their business. And it's a really, really powerful thing. That she's bringing to the table tonight and sharing all her knowledge about. So Sarah, if I was to ask you a question around where you see your business going in, say, maybe 3 years time, what would you say to that?
Well, first things first, I committed to myself, always work with a coach, because something, I saw, there's a mentor that I really, really admire anyway, and she was saying recently, an Olympian never works without a coach.
Yes.
So first things first is get your ducks in order. And in terms of my work, I just still want to stay on track, stay on my path, my mission of working with female entrepreneurs and helping them realise that they can empower themselves, financial freedom. So still working one-to-one in boutique size groups and small groups as well.
Yes.
And actually making the difference one client at a time, because especially when we're working with women, their mothers, their daughters, their sisters, their aunts, and it has a ripple effect through the households, and beliefs are released. So these changes are coming. So as long as our clients are committed to working with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's about the admittance, isn't it, first and foremost, that the problem actually exists.
Yeah, it's not a weakness. It's really not a weakness. And also, there's so much mixed in with that about this humility. The female client thinking that there needs to be this humility about earning staying in a certain income bracket and things like that. And now, I was listening to a coach this afternoon actually, and he was saying there's never been more millionaires than now. And it's not just about the money, it's about the ability.
But millionaireism is a state of mind, though, isn't it? Because when I talk about high end, I talk about high ticket. Actually, it is a state of being. It's not necessarily the price tag, and a lot of people get that wrong. When they talk about that, it's not. It's not really about that. It's a luxury state of mind, and it's how you conduct yourself and carry yourself as a coach and as a professional entrepreneur in the marketplace. That for me is where it starts first, and then as a result of you kind of carrying yourself that way, then of course the money will come after that, because people will warm to you because of your right presentation, your heart's right, your vision's right. You're not there to rip people off. You're there because you definitely want to bring true transformation. And people are wise these days now, because there's so many so many different types of coaches out there now. They can sense it. It's almost like a sniffer dog. People are, clients aren't stupid. They can sense whether people are genuine, or not. They can sense this.
Because it's also as well where you've got like those days it's sort of Paris photo shoots and laptop
lifestyle. Yeah, absolutely. Stuff, $1 million in a day noise, and all of those things.
Yeah, all that noise. There's a reason why it didn't last long.
Yes.
And working with women as we do, it's about empowerment. It's 100%. About embracing our ability and our capability of actually really making these deep changes and having a commitment to do so as well. Because there's so much noise, like you say, online, like about millionaire, billionaire, squillionaire, whatever comes after that, I don't know. And it doesn't matter. And also it gets people in tears because they're thinking, you know, I'm a woman of faith,
Yeah.
whichever faith that they happen to be. I can't ask for more. You know, what will my community think of me? I have that. I see sisters, and they're like, well, I can't ask for that. I'm going to keep all my stuff under $50. And you're just thinking, this stuff is gold.
Yeah, but the important thing, I think the important thing to remember, sorry to cut you here, is that when people do struggle in that mindset, it's because they don't have that knowledge of themselves in the creator's eyes, right?
Yes.
So we're created in his image. And I think the more you teach from that perspective, the more women are going to be more likely to actually accept that. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think that's where a lot of the problem lies first, because they don't have their spiritual identity intact. They don't know who they are, and they certainly don't know whose they are. So once they get those two things right, then actually they can line up with thinking, well, you know what? If God says that I am X, Y, Z, then, and he is my father, then surely I am worth this because I'm his child. Absolutely. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you get your identity right, then everything else will line up after that. You start charging what you're worth, you start, you know, things start becoming in alignment, and, you know, you grow, your business grows because your knowledge of self grows, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And also, you know, that you know, the world we're living in, this planet, you know, that we've been gifted, that we're stewards of, it wasn't created as a non-abundance place.
That's right. It was abundant before we even came to this planet. 100%. Everything was given to us in the first 7 days.
Yes. So
everything.
And, you know, there was no scrimping, there was no getting things on discount. There was no, you know, it wasn't created, you know, like it wasn't created with vouchers.
I love it.
You know?
Knock, knock. Hey, God, is it possible I can get a discount this week?
I might cut off a few days. I'll just do this.
Right.
You know, no. We were gifted an abundant place to live.
Yes.
You know, and we're stewards of this, you know, where we are. And it's, you know, it's, you know, it's like when you look around, you've got your filter, you see what you see. So if you're operating from a scarcity mindset, that's what you'll see. You'll get you know, hit problems one after the other. But if you just and the faith is fundamental.
It's fundamental.
And that position
100%.
of absolute trust and faith. The world was not created, you know, in scarcity.
Not at all. But just to add to that, just to add to what you're saying though, Sarah, on the contrast to that, you know, I'm just loads of scriptures are just popping into my head, so I've got to share them, right? And it says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. Okay, so in all of this, we've got to recognize that there is another realm out there that's always at war. And we're going deep because that's just how you and I always talk. So we're bringing the entire world into our deep conversations right now. Okay, and the key thing is that we do have the power within us to actually overcome these, but we've got to remember that we are fighting an enemy. So it's up to us to decide which side of the army we are on. We've got to make a conscious choice whether we're going to be just there and allow every fiery dart to weed us down, or are we going to take control and stand firm upon the word, put on our shield of faith, because that's the first thing we need to ward away all of those things that come to actually trick our minds. Because you said something really positive earlier on, which was we didn't write the stories. Actually, no. You know, as a child, we didn't write these stories. They were just put upon us. And when you really think about it realistically, you know, a child who opens a book, did you read, okay, so today you are going to grow up with having limiting beliefs? We didn't read that in a storybook anyway, did we? You're going to grow up not feeling good about yourself. You're going to grow up, you know, we didn't read these things.
And it's crazy, you know, like sometimes you get to that stage in life where you're just hearing yourself like come out with some expression from years back, and back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, and you think, oh my God, it wasn't even true then. And when you actually break it down, you're saying it to your own kids, and you're just thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't even make sense. You know, like, there's no logic in that statement, but you grow up hearing it, and then, you know, it's come through generations, and people reinforce that, you don't like, especially like money is the root of all evil. So many people
Absolutely.
get that wrong.
It's so wrong. Scripture doesn't even say that. It says the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself, because we need money. Because contrary to that, it says money answereth all things, right?
Yeah.
And the gold is mine, the silver is mine. God owns everything, okay? So where do we get that? Where do we get these theologies, misologies, I like to call them, because it's misology. You know, where do we actually get these from? And it's those things that we brought up in our faith, because it's religiosity. Whereas I come from a mindset where we talk about kingdom, and kingdom is all about progressing, you know, the work of God through his vessels, through people like women like us, men, of course, out there as well. But it is about the furtherance of the kingdom, the divine kingdom, okay? And we need money. You know, money answers all things, because how can I, if I don't have money, reach out to the poor? How can I put clothes on, you know, our kids' backs and all of those different things, you know, give them food and shelter and, you know, help those people that really do need it? Because if my table is lacking, I'm no good to anybody. So my table's got to be fed first. Your table's got to be fed first. All these women listening, your tables have got to be fed first. And then you're in a better position to be able to do the work of the ministry. That's where I'm coming from, you know, and that is about giving back into God's kingdom.
Absolutely.
All about the Great Commission, all about that. Yeah. And that's different for everybody. Your commission is different to my commission. My commission is different to Randy's or to Denise's or to Clarence's, you know. It's very, very, very different. But we've all got to be in that space where we are ready to actually, when he says, okay, so what have you done, thou good and faithful servant?
Yes, we're answerable.
We're all answerable. We can't say, well, we sat there for 85 years watching Coronation Street. So no, it's not going to wash, right? Or whatever program, the Kardashians in the America, I think, eh? Okay. Sarah, always beautiful speaking to you. I'm conscious that we're up to the hour now. It's 9:05. And what a great conversation we're having tonight, learning all things about limiting beliefs. Really, Sarah's just sharing some of her nuggets from her work, which is fantastic. Now, if you are a woman entrepreneur and you are listening to this and you're thinking, oh my goodness, you maybe touched on a point here or there, and you feel that you want to connect with Sarah, can you tell us, Sarah, where that person can find you?
Sure, they can head over to my website on www.sarahmcgirr.com. So if you have a look at my little picture here, you'll see I spell my name. And even, I mean, they don't have to just be silent when they come over. Just drop me an email, just drop me a message. I'm on Facebook as well, Money Breakthrough Coaching. And I'm always, you know me, I'm always up for a conversation about beliefs and money and being female and things. And, you know, so, and I take on one-to-one clients and small groups as well. But if there's any way I can support any of your community as well, I'm happy to do so. It'd be a privilege.
Oh. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your business, you know, and what God has really called you to do in the earth, and really just for showing up the way that you do. I really do appreciate you, love you, and thank you so much for your time and attention. So let me just check, are there any